going on, everybody? Sean here from Afterlife Studios, and welcome to the channel. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you the best advice I've ever gotten as an audio engineer. So, full disclosure, this is not of my own creation. I definitely have seen it online. Most notably, I saw it at URM Academy. Those guys are awesome, by the way. I will leave a link in the description down below for that website. If you're into metal mixing, there's probably not a better place to go to improve those skills. So, what are we talking about today? LDFC. LDFC is a mixing protocol that basically tells you how to approach audio. How do we fix it? How do we correct it? So, what does LDFC stand for? LDFC stands for listen, diagnose, fix, and compare. So, how do we use that in a mix? Essentially, what we're going to be doing is following these 4 steps in order to accurately and effectively correct audio and make it sit better in the mix and make your whole mix, as a result, sound way, way better. The first step of the LDFC method is to listen to the audio. If you don't understand what you're hearing and you're not listening to it accurately, you can't fix anything, right? So it's so easy as engineers just to see an audio source and then we're like, oh, it's a vocal, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And we essentially don't analyze what we're trying to do with the track. It's probably making a lot of mixes worse than they could have been, instead of us just taking a step back and really analyzing what we're doing. So next, diagnose. So after we have listened to the track or the audio or whatever source we're listening to, we're going to attempt to diagnose what our issues are. So essentially, let's say if it's a vocal and it's boomy, we're going to look into the low end. We're going to attempt to diagnose where in the low end that we're seeing the issue, or we're hearing the issue, better yet. From there, what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to fix it, right? We've diagnosed the issue. All right, it's boomy in the low end. Let's attempt a high pass filter first, right? Boom, put the high pass filter on. What we're going to do is compare it. So from there, once we fix it, we're going to compare it if it makes an audible impact that is beneficial to the track or not. And the way you're going to do that is just literally turn the plugin on and off, or even just the channel, or if you can even use it with compressors. So whatever we're doing, we're going to turn it on and off to ensure that it is improving the audio. If it doesn't improve the audio, don't do it. Then it's not meant to be. We're going to leave it alone. The more you do this protocol, the easier and easier it gets to be able to listen to things and then diagnose them. And honestly, I believe the diagnosing part is probably the most difficult part of this whole procedure. The more and more time you spend listening to music, the more and more you'll be able to, whether you know if it's a 250 hertz issue or a 500 hertz issue, it's going to take time. But if you're able to know there's an issue, then from there, that is the key, right? So the more and more we're listening to audio, the easier and easier it's getting for us to diagnose the problem. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump over to the computer and I'll show you a couple examples of how to use this protocol and how effective it really is. Alrighty guys, so I brought up a vocal I just threw on this beat. Essentially what I'm going to be doing is demonstrating how the LDFC method works. I'll show you a quick demonstration of EQ and compression on how to utilize LDFC. So the first thing that we're going to do is listen to the track, and what we're going to do is pay attention for any kind of issues that we're hearing, and that's what we're listening for right now.
Look at me because you think I've been winning. I don't give a fuck about what they're saying. Yeah, this is hard. The trenches are where I'm living. Existential dread, wasteland is what we're given.
Okay, so immediately when I listen to this, I'm hearing a couple issues. The first one being is there's a lot of low end buildup in the vocal. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop up an EQ. And we're going to listen to it one more time, not as long this time, but we're going to listen to it one more time. We're going to watch the EQ because now we know that, hey, we're hearing a lot of low end buildup. and we're trying to diagnose where that is coming from at this point. So let's listen to it again.
Look at me because you
I'm seeing a
think
lot
I've
of
been
build-up
winning.
right here.
I don't give a fuck about what they're saying. Yeah.
So definitely there's a lot of rumble in the vocal. So let's go ahead and high pass that. And now that we've done the high pass, we're going to listen back and forth with the plugin on and off.
Look at
This is
me
off.
because you think I've been winning.
Back on.
I don't give a fuck about what they're saying. Yeah, this is hard. The trenches are where I'm living.
So there's definitely a difference between the high pass on and off. If you're not listening on monitors or headphones, it's a little bit harder to tell. Usually those don't replicate the low end quite as well as monitors do. So what I did is I listened back again, turning it on and off, and it's almost like the vocal had this blanket taken off of it because the low end is not taking up as much energy in the mix on the vocal. So it makes the vocal sit more forward. So now that we've compared back and forth, we can say, yes, it is improving the audio. Then we're going to move forward. So we're going to do the method one more time. And we're going to try to find another issue in the vocal. And we're going to use the LDFC method again in order to fix it.
Look at me because you think I've been winning. I don't give a fuck about what they're saying. Yeah, this is hard. The trenches are where I'm living. Existential dread, wasteland is what we're given.
Okay, so this time when I'm listening through it, I am hearing a little bit of tinniness and boxiness in the vocal. So what we're going to use is the sweep and destroy method. So what we're going to do is grab a band, we're going to boost it up. And now the beauty of this method is you don't really have to know EQ extremely well, which a lot of people don't. They have a lot of issues with EQ. EQ is very, very difficult for new engineers and, sometimes even for experienced engineers. With LDFC, that really doesn't matter. So we're going to boost up this band. And then we're going to listen and try to find the sound that we don't like. So we don't have to know where it's at. We just boost it up and we're going to listen for it. And this is part of the diagnosis.
Look at me because you think I've been winning. I don't give a fuck about what they're saying. Yeah, this is hard. The trenches are where I'm living. Existential dread, wasteland.
So I'm hearing a lot of that sound I don't like at 450, 500. So what we're going to do is notch out a couple dB of that. And then we're going to listen back with that adjustment made.
Look at me because you think I've been winning. I don't give a fuck.
We're going to listen back without it on.
Look at me because you think I've been winning. I don't give a fuck about what they're saying. Yeah, this is hard.
So when we're listening back, it's definitely improving the audio. It's almost like a blanket has been lifted off the vocal. So with that, we've definitely completed LDFC on these two issues that we were hearing. Now, there are other issues in this vocal, but for the sake of example, we're just going to worry about these two. So LDFC doesn't only just work with EQ. It really works with any plugin. So we're going to bring up a compression plugin. I'm just going to use the regular stock one from Logic. Their stock stuff is amazing. Don't feel like you have to buy plugins to get good mixes. You don't. Techniques are way more important than plugins. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to turn off this plugin and we're going to listen to the different dynamics of this vocal. Now, it was compressed a little bit on the way in, probably about a 3 or 4 dB reduction on the way in, which I pretty much always do on any vocal just because vocals are so ridiculously dynamic. But what we're going to do is listen without any compression and we're going to listen for issues.
Look at me because you think I've been winning. I don't give a fuck about what.
So now, immediately upon listening to it, I'm hearing a lot of the tails of my words being tucked under the beat. So now we have diagnosed that we want a more consistent vocal throughout the whole word, right? So I'm going to bring up a different compressor. I don't really like the Platinum as much. Not for vocals. It's good for other stuff, but just not vocals. And we've diagnosed that, yes, we want more We want the tails of the words to be more consistent. So what we're going to do is bring down the release of the compressor, because basically the way a compressor works is the release is how quickly it's going to let go of the audio, which is going to bring it up. So let's put a little bit down and let's listen back with it on and see if we can fix the issue.
Look at me because you think I've been winning. I don't give a fuck about what they're saying. Yeah, this is hard. The trenches are where I'm.
Okay, so I think I've got my release time kind of where I want it. It's pretty fast for a vocal, but it's where it needs to be in my opinion. So what we're going to do is turn it off and we're going to compare it back and forth to make sure that the correction that I made is going to help the audio.
Look at me because you think I've been winning. I don't give a fuck about what they're saying.
So I take that back. This would be a good example of when the compare is important. I listen back and I think it sounds better without that compression choice, or it needs to be adjusted. Now, I'm thinking what happened here is the original track is louder than the compressed track because I did not do makeup gain. So what we're going to do is add about a dB of makeup gain because that's about how much it's pulling out. So that way it's back to the same volume. And now we're going to listen back and compare.
Look at me because you think I've been winning. I don't give a fuck about what they're saying. Yeah, this is hard. The trenches are where I'm living. Existential dread, wasteland is what we're given.
Okay, so now it definitely sounds better. So don't be afraid to go back through LDFC repeatedly until the compare is better than the original audio. That's the whole point of this, is so that way if you're making decisions, you're not just going to blindly make them and call it, right? So let's say if you weren't using LDFC, it's very unlikely you would have caught that makeup gain issue. So you would have been if you didn't compare back and forth, there's no way that you'd have said, oh, it doesn't sound better. And that's the beauty of this. That's what makes this protocol so powerful, is it gives you the backup plan and the procedures to make sure that your audio is going the way you want it to go and is getting improved, and that you're not just doing random things. Alrighty guys, so with these examples, hopefully you guys can start to utilize the LDFC method in your mixes. Now, it works on anything. It works on EQ, compression, reverb, saturation, really anything. LDFC is definitely the way to go for it. Thanks for watching the video. If this is something that you benefited from, do me a huge solid. Hit the subscribe button, like the video, share the video. It's been insane how much people have been helping and been supporting the channel. It's been truly, truly humbling, and I do appreciate that more than you ever know. With that being said, stay humble, stay hungry, something else inspirational. Peace out.